Whoa, what a beautiful day. There was another frost this morning. The sun's come up strong now and we're heading for a lovely morning. Thought I'd let the silkies out this morning just for a little bit of a wander. It'll take Puff a little while to work out how to get out. She'll go in and out of the polytunnel for a little while, but these two have certainly worked it out. For those of you that watch my Instagram will know that my Lata tomato seeds are now drying off, and it won't be long before I'm putting them in a paper bag and storing them ready for next year. I wanted to say thanks to Matt. Matt said I ought to be growing some spaghetti squash. So he said, I'll send you some. And sure enough, they arrived this week. So thanks, Matt. I look forward to sowing those and hopefully getting one or two going in the squash beds. Of course, I've still got some work to do in the squash bed because I put fresh compost into the first two strips, but I've still got to put it into the third strip. So that might be on today's agenda. We'll have to see. You can see how those have got that extra height on them. This one, which never had any compost on it, needs the same treatment. And it's very interesting that even without the compost, because that was fresh ground, the squash and pumpkins grew really well. Well, I've got a lot of compost movement to do, and I've got about 1.5 bays down here that need sorting, so I need to finish off the rest of that and then work into here, which I think will be much the same. And this of course is compost that I've removed the couch grass from, which I'll never be doing again, thanks to my compost room engine, which you've been watching me construct over the past week or so. It just amazes me when I come down here what a big area it is. And the next step in here is to cut into there, and I'll need a couple of those pallets from that compost area we've just visited, so they can go in there hopefully and wall this area off. And the bays here, I've put some odd bits and bobs in front of them, but I don't think I'm going to work with pieces of wood in front of them until I get some height and some compost in them, and my supply of horse manure is going to be on its way very soon. And then this one, I need to take the top layer off of this because it's not fully decomposed, and that can go in here, which is where I'm putting that sort of material. And then hopefully everything else underneath there will be good compost and can go into here, which is well sorted and mature compost. There's a few leaves on it now, but that's fine. And that'll be moving on and into the allotment. So I think today it's going to be about moving this forward. See how we get on. Well, we've had some strong winds over the past couple of days, and it's pushed over one of these plastic poles that I put in for the broccoli. So I'm going to replace it, or even pair it up with a metal one, and just see if we can keep everything standing upright. The same's happened down with the cow, but in the case of the cow, it's just because the string isn't really strong enough. Right, I think I want to keep that going for a while. Let's have a look. Well, I can't really remember whether I actually did these with some string and it's broken, or whether I just put in the poles. But either way, it definitely needs shoring up now. So I'm just going to get these stems and get it in place. And the wind must have been pretty strong because it seems to have given all these larger plants a bit of a push. And I guess with the larger leaves, they catch the wind easily. And this one's the same. Needs to go up and around. And I'm still using these plastic tags. As I said in my previous video, it's about using what I got and not replacing it. So these are still on the agenda for now, but not for much longer. That one's not going to work very well. I need to get another one. Right, that should hold it in place. And the others, I think, are going to be all right for a bit. Okay, moving on. Well, I do chuckle at the theory of no dig when it comes to moving compost, but there we go. I've knocked into this now. This corner was always going to be the worst, and I've got that out. I've just got this corner to do, and then hopefully I'll be able to get this pallet out, because I need that for the construction that I'm doing over in the engine room. But the more important piece is that piece there, so that I can carry on the grey wall that I've created. And to do that, I'm going to have to dig down in there to pull that out. I'm not sure whether that's fixed with screws. I'll have to have a look, but I certainly need to get down in there. So that's a mighty fine pile of compost. And it always amazes me how horse manure, I fill these up multiple times during the course of the winter months, and it rots down until finally we get to about this level, which is what, 18 inches, nearly 2 foot, and those 3 bays repeatedly filled just end up with that much compost. It's still a lot, but it's amazing how it reduces. But this stuff now is absolutely fantastic. Right, stop admiring my work, get on with the job at hand. My robin friend is back to help me this morning, and whilst I was doing that last corner of the bin, I noticed this rather long bramble, and it just amazes me how far these go. So here it is, and mighty prickly it is too, and it goes back probably 10 feet, maybe 12 feet. So when the leaves drop like this, it's a perfect time to remove these fellas. Well, that's all of the compost out of here, which is great. I'm just going to see if I can maneuver this fella away now. And it does sound a bit rotten. I've got some fairly meaty screws in it, so maybe that's going to have to wait. So next stop is that grey panel. Let's see if I can dig in and get that out. I've got a mighty fine pile of compost there. Awesome. Right, let's see. Well, I often forget how well I put these things in. I always take the view I want to be fairly temporary about it, so that I've got some options, but this one does seem to be pretty well stuck in. Wow, look at the couch grass in here. Incredible. I'm not going to miss this. Right, chuck it down there for a minute. Okay, I think this is going to take me a little while. Well, it's good to get that out. Get some of this couch grass out at the same time and make it that much easier as I dig through that remaining compost now, because it won't be anchored at the back and it pulls out a lot easier if you can get that done. Right, get every last bit of this up, because these tiny white little broken pieces will just blossom into a new couch grass bush or runner or whatever you call them. Right, well, this panel that I've had for some years is going to go over to the compost area, and hopefully then it'll match, which will satisfy my OCD. Well, the plan is just to extend this on one more space. I think it has to go that way up, so it should give me about that length, and then I'll have to finish it off with something else. But I've noticed as I've been looking at this that this wall does work its way in that way, so I think we're going to just straighten this a bit, and that means I just have to chop out only a small amount there, and then I can get this one onto the edge of it and we'll be that much further on. So let's get this to one side, get in the heavy machinery, which of course is my trusty hoe, Chillington hoe, which does a fine job of work, and no doubt I'll find some things in here that I'll need to throw away, and I can already see some plastic and some bricks and various bits and pieces, but I'll take the bulk of this edge out and see where we go. Well, I never would have believed in such a small area there could be so much rubbish. Let me show you what's in here. Plastic, yes. Metal, very dangerous stuff. Lots of wire, which of course is metal core. More plastic, plastic, plastic. An old paint pot with glass in it. Lots of glass in it. In fact, there was a whole bag of glass which had been broken. Sorry about the DIY that's going on behind me. That looks like metal. Quite a lot of rocks. I'll switch this off and come back in a moment. We have a bit of peace. So yeah, there was so much glass in here, and it's probably the glass that's the most worrying. I mean, it's seriously dangerous stuff, this. You see the size and the shape of these shards, quite incredible, and there's plenty of them. And more rocks, more wire, more wire, more wire. There's a whole canvas bag in there which I've had to cut because they just can't get to it. More plastic. Just so much glass. More metal. More plastic. Plastic. Lots and lots of rope and string. Some plastic pipe. Bricks, plenty. A milk bottle. I'm saving the best to last. More plastic. Some more metal. Metal. There was obviously a window in there at some time. Plastic. Plastic, plastic, plastic. More glass. Glass, plastic. The shards of glass in here are quite incredible. You certainly need gloves for this, and I never imagined for 1 minute what looked like a 10-minute job was going to go on for this length of time. I'm coming to the pièce de résistance. More plastic. Here we go. A pair of Wellington boots. Now, why would you chuck those into the compost area? Plastic. Tiles, glass, metal, plastic, bricks, more metal, and a whole load of membrane. What were they thinking? I don't know. Well, I think I'm going to end up having to take that to the skip. I can't see any other way of getting rid of it. Right. Well, I'm feeling pretty tired, if I'm honest. Things have turned out a lot more, well, wearing than I thought. So I think my last job of the day is going to be just to unpin this, straighten it up, and get one more panel in. Let's go. Well, it's always very physical doing this sort of work, and that's why it's best done in the winter when it's cool. I think that's me done for today. I'm pleased with the progress I've made, although this end here is very temporary because this pallet is just not up to the job. So when I get into that last bay in the old compost area, I'll get a better pallet out, and I'll probably need another one just to take me to the end. I'm going to run out of this material, so I have to work out something else for the end, but that'll be it enclosed, which will be a really good step. Well, that's me done. I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click on the like and the subscribe. And if you want my updates every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 PM, click on the bell. Good times.